All right. This is going to be full spoiler thoughts. If you don't know what this book is about, you can go to reviews, you can go to things like that explain it. If you don't care, if you haven't read it but you don't care to know some of the spoilers, I mean, I'm not going to go into all the specific details, but I want to be able to speak freely because I just finished it. There are definitely things I really liked about it, and there are definitely things that started to really lose my interest. It was a bit of a roller coaster that way. Now, I went into it sort of feeling like I was doing kind of homework because this has been on my TBR for over a decade, and I figured I would read it for a friend who keeps asking me to read it, and I was looking forward to it. I just never ended up doing it. It's this Canterbury Tales where they're on this pilgrimage to this planet called Hyperion, and it used to have all these people. You know, it still has all these people, but they are kind of congregating at this city that has this port to get out of here. People want to leave, and then there's this pilgrimage of these people that have been selected for this thing to go meet the Shrike. And I mean, this is right in the prologue, I think, or in the first chapter, where the idea is one of them is going to have their wish fulfilled, sort of thing, and the rest are going to die. And we go through these stories that they all have really, really interesting stories. And as we get these different stories, it gives a little bit more context. We get the whole story, and then it goes to them just discussing it, and we see how they kind of piece things together. Later on, a new person does their story, and then they piece it together until the end. Now, I loved the first two stories. I was actually really surprised how much I liked the Priest Tale. It was just so interesting with this tribe that this guy runs into, especially considering it was like this it's just this tribe who it's like they keep cycling as they die and coming back a little bit more flawed. They're mentally, they become a little bit more simple, I guess is the nice way to say it, until really they're almost like these automatons in this very tribal automaton version of Christianity. It's obviously morphed and done some funky things, but kind of interesting, really interesting take. And I thought, okay, you have my attention. The second story I thought was very interesting as well. It's this soldier's tale, and it talks about, it really goes over time a lot, and almost what would happen if two people were kind of going the other way through time. And we start to find out that this is going to be more of, that's in the context of what's going on, not just with his story, but with a lot of what's going on. We have the poet's tale, which I kind of liked the poet. I liked the start of how he kind of became this poet, and it lost me a little bit. I liked the scholar's tale a lot. That one was very emotional to me. And then the detective tale and the consul tale, I almost, I was just hoping it would be over, because I really didn't get super invested with those two. Now, if I went back again, it might change if I reread this, but that's just my first reaction. Now, I think a part of why, it's front loaded. I loved it. I was so interested in these characters, and I thought it was going to be just them going from here to meet the Shrike. And it is that, but as they keep uncovering more of this mystery, especially in the later tales, it seems, we get to know about this war going on, and a lot of these other kind of factions and things like that. And I just did not get hooked on some of that other stuff going on. And that's just me. I might go to some kind of summary sorts of videos and see what other people have to say about it. But I was so interested in these people, and the Shrike is so interesting. But again, when it had to do with the AI stuff and the ousters and things like that, it just wasn't really grabbing me. And so it was very much that as I was going through, I was really, really losing interest. I still wanted to see what would happen when they would get there to the Shrike. And I still am kind of interested in what happens. But, it started at like a 10 out of 10 for me throughout through the first two stories. And then it started to really kind of go down, and then it really dropped off a ledge for me. Another reason why I almost for the last 50 pages decided not to even finish it. I would not, people can do what they want with their art, for sure. And I am not one to say what somebody would do with their art or should do with their art. It's theirs. But one of the things that brought me out of it, that might not bring you out of it, there was just so much sexually kind of descriptive stuff that it's like it would be in a romance, really, it's really describing all the feelings of they're making love, there's all this time with their lovers, and it's really describing the feel of, their chests and inside of them, and it's like, okay, I got it. And then this last one especially, I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with it. And it's fine if you want to have that in there. I know I'm reading Malazan, and it has some really, it has some stuff like that where some really awful things happen, but it's this thing where people go way into the, sexually descriptive stuff. I just don't get into that, and it actually kind of grosses me out when I read it. So that's just my thing that kind of brought me out of it. Now, so I have Hyperion, have the Fall of Hyperion. I don't know if I'm going to go right into it, even though I'm excited where it ends up with the epilogue, and I'm seeing this picture right here. I mean, that's what I want to see. And, I am excited to go. I know that a lot of people think it really falls off after the Fall of Hyperion, but I know I've listened to the channel Words in Time, and he, as far as a sci-fi person, I kind of vibe with the same sort of sci-fi that he vibes with, and he actually likes this one more than the first one. So I'm thinking that might be the case with me as well. But I would have to start being interested in this other foundational kind of stuff going on, I assume. So glad I did it. It didn't knock my socks off. I mean, the first parts did, but by the end, I was, by about 75% for, the last 25% of the way, I was ready for it to be done. But it was very interesting. I wonder what you guys think about this book. I know it's a lot of people's favorite sci-fi ever. It is not mine, but I did enjoy it for the most part, even though there were, I just was not interested or into the last two tales. And then there was just that thing where it was like, okay, we're talking about the curves of her breasts again, over and over, that kind, Anyway, I'll leave it at that. but very interested in finally now getting back to Malazan. And I'll talk to you on the next one.